Hey guys, Sko here, and in today's video I'll be answering a question that I get a lot on stream right now. After only having played Shadowlands Alpha for 2 days, it seems to be the most common question I'm getting, as in how are the tanks looking, what tank is looking strong, how am I enjoying each of the tank classes, and I want to just get in there and answer this question. But keep in mind guys that this is the very earliest stage of the alpha. Everything is, subject to change at this point. But I'll do my best to just break it down with how I'm experiencing the tanks so far. Keep in mind I've only played each character for like a couple of hours maximum at this point. But I'm having fun with the alpha, and I thought I'd share my thoughts with you. So first up we have Death Knight. Now I have to say the talent tree is looking really nice here. There's less conflicting choices on the same rows, and the choices that you do make are meaningful and competitive. So that's really good to see. Ruin Tap being baseline is really big. It's a nice addition. We also now have Anti-Magic Zone looking very nice. It's currently doing 60% spell damage reduction as of now, which is very, very strong. There's a few other new additions for Blood DK, like Raised Dead, which is the summoning of the ghoul. And when we reach a certain level, we'll be able to sacrifice that ghoul for HP, so that's also very nice. Then we have Lichborn, which gives us Charm, Fear, and Sleep immunity, which is very similar to the Undead racial that I've been playing with for quite a while already on Skull Creep. And then we have the Covenant ability currently, which is Shackle the Unworthy, which actually out of all the tanks, guys, this is probably my favorite Covenant ability so far, closely with the Paladin one, but this one is more single target focused. It's a great ability and it does really high damage output too, single target focused. Play wise, I have to say the class feels really fun and fluid to play, and so far things are looking really positive for Death Knight. Only really positive things to say. Next up, Monk. The talent tree is again somewhat fine, not much has changed. The new shuffle passive that replaces Ironskin Brew is definitely a welcome change. Ironskin Brew wasn't necessarily a very fun ability or mechanic the way it was operating in BFA and the way it's operated in the past. So basically what happens now, guys, is that Ironskin Brew kind of still exists, just that it's kept up passively through the abilities Keg Smash, Blackout Kick, and Spinning Crane Kick. The only concern here is that, I guess when you're kiting targets or being out of range of a mob, it's obviously difficult to hit them with the abilities, and so you might drop the shuffle. But other than that, I think this is a great change, a great gameplay change. Other big things to note with Monk is that Stagger now only deals with physical damage, so you no longer stagger any magical damage. Now looking at some other changes on abilities, we have Zen Meditation, guys. You can now move while doing Zen Meditation. So that's awesome to see. No more accidentally cancelling it early. Touch of Death is also a new ability we have, baseline. It's not currently working on Alpha, but it is going to be a nice with the way it deals with helping clear Stagger. It clears a little bit of your Stagger, guys, when you use it. Spinning Crane Kick and Invoke Nizao, the Black Hawks, are new additional baseline spells too. Very welcome, of course. And finally, we have a brand new spell, guys, called Celestial Brew, which is currently very strong. Basically, it interacts with your Purifying Brew, where when you use a Purifying Brew, you get a buff that's a stacking buff, which you can stack up over time. And then when you use your Celestial Brew, the Absorb is multiplied by that percentage, or increased by that percentage, sorry. It's actually insane to see how big you can get some of the absorbs. There's been instances with 10 stacks of the Purifying Brew, which is the max you can get. It's 3 times my max HP, almost, at certain points for 8 seconds. So currently Celestial Brew is very strong. Weapons of Order, which is a Covenant ability, is okay-ish. It's, nothing really to write home about, but it's not bad either. Despite the above, and Monk is actually feeling like a very strong tank at the moment. So strength-wise, it feels good. I would, however, say that the class is feeling maybe a little bit boring to play. The way that Purifying Brew is currently working kind of almost promotes just Purifying on cooldown, even without Stagger, to build up a max Celestial Brew Absorb, basically. And I can't quite put my finger on it, but it just doesn't feel that exciting right now. Moving on to Warrior. So, the talent tree has a few changes, guys. On the same line as Bolster, we now have a viable choice in Indomitable, which is great to see. However, having Into the Fray and Booming Voice on the same talent line is certainly a nerf to the tree. Into the Fray has also had its haste nerfed from 3% to 2% for each target, which is, that's going to hit us pretty hard. And then Anger Management no longer reduces the cooldown of Demo Shout and Last Stand for rage being spent. This also then, in turn weakens the Bolster talent. So overall, we're seeing the Warrior being a little bit nerfed when it comes to the talent tree. We have Execute, the spell is back, and that's a nice addition. Regardless of whether it's powerful or not, it definitely adds an element of excitement that we should have as Warriors when the target is approaching 20%. Also, we have Whirlwind, which is a nice option to dump on larger pools of 5 targets. But with a higher haste, I'm curious really as to how we're going to see if this actually fits into the rotation or not, of the usual Thunderclap and Revenge spam. Revenge also has no cooldown now, so you really can spam it if you have the rage. Challenging Shout is coming back, I think at level, was it 54? So we're going to be able to taunt all enemies around us within 10 yards again, which is nice. We see a slight buff to Vanguard, and Riposte is also a slight buff to our parry percentage, which is based on critical strike rating currently. Talking about the Bastion, the Spear of the Bastion, which is our Spear of Bastion, which is our Covenant ability. The 25 rage generation is nice, but otherwise it's looking pretty weak for dungeons and raids, honestly, guys. It's not one of the stronger Covenant abilities, I feel. Play-wise, the class feels fun and fluid to play, but strength-wise, like I said, it's probably taking a little bit of a downward slope from BFA currently. So looking at Druid, talent tree first, the Renewal talent, which is one of the new spells in Shadowlands, is on the same line as the mobility talents, which is, it means you have to take a situational choice there, guys, situational pick. The good thing about Renewal is that it's off the global cooldown, which is nice. Whereas Frenzied Regeneration, for example, is still on the global cooldown, even in Shadowlands. There's another new talent called Heart of the Wild, which could be interesting. It has a 5-minute cooldown, though. It kind of feels like it may have some use in the raids as when you're in the off tank, but honestly, the verdict is kind of still out on this one. It shares a line with Mighty Bash and Mass Entanglement, so if you do pick Heart of the Wild, it's not as though you have to give up much, so we'll see what happens there. Incarnation has been changed a little bit, adding in Frenzied cooldown reduction and also Iron Fur cost reduction. It also now increases max HP rather than armor, but by choosing Incarnation, you are replacing your new talent, which we now get, or not new talent, new spell, which we now get called Berserk. Looking at Pulverize, they've changed this quite significantly in that Pulverize now, has more damage reduction. It's 20% instead of 9%. However, it only lasts for 10 seconds with a 30-second cooldown, so it can no longer be kept up full time. Another big change is that Typhoon is now coming with Balance Affinity, whereas Ursul's Vortex now comes with Restore Affinity, so you can no longer have both those spells together. Overall, I would say the talent tree hasn't seen huge changes, just a few questionable abilities, situational choices. But if we look at the new talent, or the new spell, sorry guys, Berserk. Berserk is a 3-minute cooldown, so it is a very long cooldown. Probably too long, to be honest. Our Covenant ability is Kindred Spirits. I haven't been able to test it out too much, and may not be fully working. It may not be fully working as it is. It's quite difficult to test, but I definitely see it having potential, particularly as a raid talent. Let's just say my verdict is reserved for now, but I see it having potential. Play-wise, Druid kind of feels just like it does in BFA. Overall, it's hard to say if Druid is weaker or stronger from the BFA edition. Opinions are somewhat mixed, but I would say it's kind of just the same. If we go on to Paladin, the talent tree is improved from live. I think that's generally what everyone has agrees with right now. There's less conflicting choices on the same rows, and then there's also more meaningful choices for different situations, which is great to see. Paladins now also have auras, which brings even further utility to groups, and they also have Hammer of Wrath, which is like Paladin's own little execute. Holy Power is now the main resource. It's used for Shield of the Righteous up and also Word of Glory, which has replaced Hand of the Protector. From a gameplay perspective, I would say this is a positive change. We're seeing improved and very high uptime potential on Shield of the Righteous right now, which could be a significant buff for Protection Paladins. Riposte is also a buff to parry percentage based on critical strike rating, similar to Warrior. And finally, if we look at Paladin's Covenant ability, Divine Toll, it's very strong. It's generating a lot of holy power right now, while also acting as an AoE wide interrupt and does really good AoE damage at the same time. Play-wise, I have to say that Paladin is one of my favorite classes to play at the moment alongside Death Knight. It feels very fun and fluid to play. Finally, guys, we have Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter's talent tree, it may not offer enough meaningful competitive choices. That's my main concern. The choices, for the most part, are a little bit too obvious. There's at least maybe 4 or 5 lines of the talent tree where it's kind of obvious which talent you need to pick. And I don't really think there's too much choice. There is potentially the option to go down the route of trying to, reduce the cooldown on demonic spikes and, use infernal armor to kind of deal with the downtime periods while using the new ability bulk extraction. However, like I said, for the most part, that's not going to be the standard build. Fel Devastation baseline is definitely a great addition, and with the new talent Demonic, it's certainly a step in the right direction of being able to more reliably control Metamorphosis procs. The Elysian Decree, which is the Covenant ability, another sigil. Personally, I'm not really a big fan of it. It kind of seems mediocre, maybe okay in dungeons, else kind of bad. It seems like there's some steps in the right direction here with Demon Hunters, guys, but more work looks like it needs to be done. In terms of active mitigation and Metamorphosis uptime, it's possible more abilities need to be baseline. For example, Feed the Demon should maybe be a baseline ability. As things stand with the class right now, it won't really move away much from where it's kind of been positioned as of at the end of BFA. Playstyle wise, I personally find it relatively fun, but then I'm not also the biggest fan of sigils in general, and getting another sigil as the Covenant ability was a bit of a turn off for me personally. So, in summary, guys, in terms of strength, I feel as if Death Knights and Paladins have increased in strength slightly since BFA, since the end of BFA. Potentially Monks too, although Monks have seen more of a change to how the class kind of works, I guess, in terms of the, the Celestial Brew, and then obviously Stagger not working with magic damage anymore. So Monks may be slightly stronger, and there's definitely some crazy things you can do right now with Celestial Brew. So let's just say Monks are also looking pretty strong. I would say Druids and Demon Hunter have kind of stayed around the same. Warriors have probably taken a slight nerf, mainly due to the talent tree choices, the way that the talent tree's kind of been laid out, and also through some other things like, the changes to anger management and whatnot. In terms of how fun the classes are to play, I would say that Paladin and Death Knight are probably the two most fun to play, closely followed by Warrior. Druid, like I said, kind of feels like it plays the same. And then Demon Hunter is likewise. And then finally you have the Monk, which I'm not 100% certain, guys, how I feel about playing Monk right now. It might just be because the stats are, like the gear and the stats that we have at the moment. But it just doesn't feel super fun to play at the moment. So yeah, my favorites definitely are to play is Paladin and Death Knight probably, closely followed by Warrior, and then the other 3 behind that in terms of fun. Hopefully this answers some of your questions, guys, and I look forward to seeing you on stream. Just let me know in the chat on stream or in the comments down below, guys, if you have any questions. And like I said, all of this is obviously subject to change. I just want to give you my very first thoughts, very first views on the tanks. And yeah, let's see the changes coming in from Blizzard in the future. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button and consider subscribing to the channel. We're going to be doing a lot of alpha Shadowlands related content on the channel in the upcoming weeks. So if you guys want to check that out, then be my guest. And I'll see you in the comments and on stream.